Hey, this is Idea Coach East of Coach East Rome. Weighing on the weight classes for UFC 159, where we have the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship bout between the challenger Chael Sonnen versus the champion Jon Jones. I'm not going to do any edits for this one. I'm just going to talk straight to the camera. I'm using my old camera right now, so it looks a little strange compared to my more recent videos. I'm going a little bit of a rant here because the matchup itself, and let me start off by saying this. From the Shogun fight with Jon Jones, was it 2 years ago now? Most Jon Jones cards that has with him as a headliner has been pretty fucking shitty since that time. The Lyoto Machida fight was actually an exception to the rule, and this card itself is actually not that bad. The co-main event with Alan Bletcher versus Michael Bigsby will, both these guys are both coming off of losses. Somehow Alan Bletcher's positioned himself to be in a co-main event. He's been fighting for such a long time, and I'm kind of glad he's getting his just due. But it's just so strange with with this influx of new talent coming in from Strikeforce and the WEC absorption and whatnot from a few years back that he's in this position in the first place. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the UFC is not giving Luke Reinhold an immediate title shot against Anderson Silva, which he should get, seeing that they've done that with Gilbert Melendez and a few other different fighters. So that fight to me is going to be it should be a rather easy fight for Michael Bigsby for the most part. I think he's just faster at everything Alan Bletcher does. Both of their wrestling abilities are kind of subpar, but Bigsby has more accurate and quicker hands, and just overall better movement around the octagon. Also on the card is Roy Nelson versus Cheick Kongo, and had it not been for the UFC making the TV deal and having to do all these different events going on, whether it be on FX, Fox, the regular pay-per-views, and Ultimate Fighter events and whatnot, this would be a fight that was like, whoever loses this is gone. I feel bad for Roy Nelson because Roy Nelson is one of those fighters who's pretty good, but he's just a generation behind. Him being that fat is not working out. I mean, people, the fighters these days, and especially in the UFC, are just way lean on that heavyweight division. Cheick Kongo is another fighter that I have not given up on completely, but after that Mirko Cro Cop fight, I mean, he's really beat nobody. He beat Matt Mitrione, but he beat him in such a fashion that I think it actually makes him look bad. I've said this before in other previews pertaining to him, that there's two types of Cheick Kongos. There's the striker and then there's the wrestler, but there's no transitional game for him. And so I think just based off length alone, if he can keep his hands coming back quick enough on those hand strikes, it should have enough to get him a unanimous decision win. Now we're off to the main event. This has to be like the most predictable light heavyweight championship fight in modern UFC history. I don't think anyone takes Chael Sonnen seriously against Jon Jones. And you've probably read on different articles by different fighters. I'm going to quote Dan Henderson here. The best thing, and I'm adding that part, the best thing that Chael Sonnen can do, according to Dan Henderson, is take him down. What bearing does that have on this fight? And to me, that says a whole lot about what we think of MMA rules in general. I did a whole preview for UFC 158, Nick Diaz versus GSP, where I knew that, Diaz was going to lose GSP pretty badly, and that's exactly what happened. And I also did a special thing on the conference call because that conference call was pretty nuts. So, Nick Diaz is not the man to say it, but going on with this whole UFC and the rules and stuff like that, and how they score things is just getting a little dated at this point. The UFC was pretty much it was started by the Gracie family, and when they kind of exited it out, a lot of wrestlers kind of moved in, and it became like a wrestling thing. Like the scoring the takedown became such a big deal, and just like the Johnny Hendricks fight of UFC 158 just became such a big deal that he scores a takedown, but they do nothing with it. And here's the thing. With Chael Sonnen, even if he's able to get the takedown, now remember, Chael Sonnen is a smaller, he's an undersized, slower version of Rashad Evans. Even if he's able to get the takedown, what is he going to do against John Jones's guard? I mean, the guy's legs are insane. So I don't really think ground and pound is actually going to work against John Jones whatsoever. I don't think anyone does, to be honest with you. But it's just the fact that a number of fighters saying like, "Oh, I'm going to take John Jones down," like that means anything. Going back to my previous video referencing that with the whole UFC 158 card with Nick Diaz, just because you take someone down doesn't mean that you're winning. I don't that, and I've just been said 1,000 times before at this point now, but when I think all MMA fans was in November 2011 when they scored the Fox deal, were so happy that you're gonna see more fights and you're gonna have like better presentation and all the whole back end of the Fox machine coming at you with UFC and MMA along with it. It's been successful. Just not the point that people think. And it's not because of Fox, but it's because of how MMA has been panning out as of late. Is that people are not exactly sure what they want MMA to be anymore. I mean, we're kind of in this flux situation where one, we have Chael Sonnen being the #1 contender when it was supposed to be determined that Alexander Gustafsson was supposed to be the #1 contender after he beat Mauricio Shogun Rua. And for some reason, they both had fights scheduled on the April 2013, but wasn't facing each other. I know Gustafsson got a cut, but that was days, 24 hours, 48 hours before the fight. So he should have been in line to be the #1 contender. He's not for some reason. I don't care what the reasoning is. It's just because Chael Sonnen can talk very well. The whole thing with MMA fans now is I think a lot of people are coming to the realization that wrestling is not the be-all, end-all. And because of that, we're kind of confused because we've been trained for so long to think that having the takedown was, give him a point or give him the advantage in a round. When, in all honesty, it has not been that way. It hasn't been that way since the beginning of MMA, but still, especially at this point in time, it's not. And I just think that when you're having a fighter like Chael Sonnen and saying like, "I'm going to take him down," you're selling a fight based on one move that does not end in a finish. It's not like, "I'm going to take him down and submit him. I'm going to take him down and ground and pound him to like get the TKO or knockout or rain elbows on top." No, it's just, "I'm going to take this person down." I'm not fucking excited. Are you? That's all I have to say about that. Guys, subscribe. Take care.